Hello everyone, my name is Heth. Recently I made a ride called Twisted, which included many rotating rooms and optical illusions, and a few people asked me how I did the rotating rooms that are in the ride. It's not normal for me to do tutorials, but I thought I'd have a go and I'd try and recreate one of the spinning rooms in real time just to show you how I made the effects happen. Before I start, I'm just going to show a quick clip of the area in question that I'm going to try and recreate. This is in the middle of the ride where the car enters into a large tunnel, the room rotates around, and then the car reverses straight back out. So, first of all, to create this, I'm going to need to find one of the rotating pieces. This here is going to be the base for everything we're going to do. I must admit, I normally find it easier to have it static whilst working on it, so I'm going to change that first. So now I'm going to attach some scenery, and apologies if it takes me a while to find things, I'm still getting used to everything. I'm still getting used to the controls. So we're going to make this flat, and this is going to form the base of the back wall of our spinning room. We're going to try and get this as central as possible, and then we're going to make a big square out of this. It needs to be big enough that you can fit the car and all the scenery rotating around it comfortably. I think 5 by 5 will probably do it. Just check that it all spins, which it does. You don't want anything to be non-spinning. Right, next we're going to add some of the side walls. I'm going to try and do it in like an octagon shape to try and sort of give it a little bit of a circular feel. Not perfectly circular, but a bit circular. Just got to try and remember how to actually adjust it. Sorry. I must admit, I don't like the new user interface for this. I do find myself getting confused as to where everything is. You have to go in and out of some scenery bits so many times. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love how smooth the coasters are now, and the rotating pieces are amazing, but yeah, it's definitely taken me longer to actually build scenery. Right, so we've got our octagon shape here. What we do need to do is to make sure that it is as central as possible on this big square, because it's all going to rotate around that central axis, and you don't want it to be wonky. I'm going to duplicate that and bring it up. This is going to start to form our tunnel. I've got a little bit more scenery in here as well before we go any further, actually. Oh, wrong one. remember where to find these things. I'll get the hang of this eventually. I hope. Bingo. I appreciate it isn't really pertinent to actually doing the spinning. I just want to make sure I get as much decoration as possible to try and really recreate what was built, well, as best as possible. These bits here, I'm trying to get like a circular sort of ring around the whole chamber. The reason for this, if I can find the right bit, the reason for this is to try and cover up the seams where the different parts of the spinning room all meet together. Because if you don't have these, it's going to look messy. So you're going to see big gaps. Admittedly, it isn't going to be as much of a problem once we've surrounded the whole building in like a show building, but I'd like to make sure that it's as seamless as possible. Sorry, it's going to take me a bit of time to fumble around with these to get these aligned. Doesn't have to be too precise, because to be honest, some of these bits are going to get covered up anyway, but let's try and get it as accurate as possible. Keyword being try. Oh, I never understand this move tool now. It never does what I want it to. There, close enough. Let's get a little bit of light. There we go. Right, so this is the first bit of our chamber. What we're going to do now is we're going to rotate it so it's facing the right way. And this is the back wall of our rotating chamber. Right, so the next bit, let's just check it works first. Which it does. Right, the next bit is going to be setting up the next bits of the chamber. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it and move it backwards first. This is so that we can separate the scenery from the rotating element. You'll understand why in a minute. Because you can move the whole thing as one, the rotating element will move, but you can't. You have to move the scenery manually off of it, which is what we're about to do. So I've moved it backwards. No, I should delete the columns first. You'll see what I'm doing in a minute. So now I've moved it, you can pick up the scenery and you can move it free of the rotating element. So the rotating element doesn't get in the way of the track and isn't visible, and it's hidden behind it. And basically I'm going to repeat that a lot. We add a little bit of more scenery on, a little bit more detail first. Nothing too significant, it's all going to be spinning, not actually going to see half of it. Okay, so we've enhanced this a little bit. Now, we're going to do the same process. We're going to duplicate it and advance move it backwards slightly first, so that the rotating bit is free. Then we're going to grab all the scenery, and we're going to move it out of the way. And you'll see that the rotating bit should stay in place. There it is. We're going to do that again, and again, and again. Move it backwards. Grab it. Move all the scenery. Oh, I think I hit the wrong button there. I think I duplicated it again. Hold on. What have I done? Try again. Ah, that's it. Alright, so take the scenery, move that, and that'll keep the rotating bit in the same place. And we're going to do it again, and again, and again. Move it backwards. Select the scenery. And move all the scenery. I still can't get used to this user interface. Move it back. Select the scenery. Move it forwards. I keep hitting the wrong button. What am I doing? Oh, that's what it is. Oops. Move it backwards. And move the scenery forwards. Right, should get this all triggered up then. Actually, no, let's add a bit more scenery on, shall we? First, get a bit of variety. I can't remember what they call the vases in this. Urn? No. Pottery? Ah, there we go. Alright, let's add a bunch of these on. I'm going to try and keep them a bit random, just so that we get a little bit of variety on this. Not loads, just a bit. Oh, a bit big. That's better. There we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to define how fast each bit's going to move. And I must admit, I sometimes find the best way to do it is to vary the speeds for each one so you get a bit of variety. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the back one going in one direction, and the others going in a different direction, but at different speeds in that direction. So we slow reverse for that, just slow for this one, we'll do medium for the next one, then slow for the next one, and then medium for this one, then slow, then medium. There we go. Chaos. There we go, move this all into position around the little coaster I've set up. I'll make sure it's the right height so the scenery's not clipping it. That's it. Right, let's add a trigger to this. I think I might have added one already. So, using that, we're going to add all of these on, and we're going to stagger when each one starts. We need to start late enough so that the vehicle is ideally in place. So let's guess it's probably 7 seconds. For the sake of testing this, I won't worry too much about it, but you know, if this were the main actual ride, I spent a long time trying to get the exact timings. We're going to do them a second apart so that it looks like the run's gradually changing. And this here is why I made sure to get the rotating pieces out back so you can see them and edit them. They're out of the way and not visible on the ride, but you can easily get to them to edit what you need to. Right. So hopefully this should now work. Let's try this out. The rotation's happening a little bit early. If this was the actual ride, I'd probably change it so the ride rotation starts later, but for the sake of this has worked. I hope this has shown, at least in a basic way, how to get a spinning room. One thing I also did actually on the main ride, which I'll do again now, it added a little bit of extra lighting onto it, just to get a bit of vibrancy. In fact, actually on some bits of the real ride, I added on some rotating lights as well, which really gave it a bit of a bigger feeling of rotation. Right, let's give it a whirl. If I can remember how. The actual ride, I think, a little bit more detail on the rotating chamber, but yeah, I think the key principles here are okay, and I hope this is showing you how to do a spinning room in Planet Coaster 2.